Welcome to a new video. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe for more. Also, please leave a like if you enjoyed it. The first story is called, I Am Paying for This. I was around 9 years old and my dad had passed the previous year. To have alone time, my mother would pawn me and my sisters off to family or sign us up for the Little League. I was so done with it but was forced to continue for years. That year, I broke my hand when this girl, for some unknown reason, decided it would be a great idea to trip me. I got to the hospital, got checked and got a cast. Little League season had started the week before and my mother expected me to continue playing with a broken hand. So I showed up to practice and the following conversation with the coach occurs. As I'm sure you've noticed, my son broke his hand. But I fully expect him to participate in everything you guys do. Mum, I don't think I should swing the bat. Couldn't it hurt my hand more? He might have a point. It could make it worse. It will be fine. I paid for this. Now teach my son how to play baseball. So off my mother goes, to do God knows what while I'm at practice. I look like a complete idiot out there, having to catch the ball. I took my glove off, throw with my non-dominant arm and then wrestle my glove back on. Now it comes batting practice. My coach pulls me aside. You don't have to bat if you don't want to. My mum wants me to bat, so I'll bat. It's fine. Okay, so I swing and continue to do so, until my checkup a few weeks later. The doctor found out that the fracture was worse and asked, what has he been doing? What do you mean it's worse? That's not possible. He hasn't done anything. I asked, do you think it's from hitting the ball at baseball practice? He was shocked. Why are you playing baseball? The impact and vibrations from the bat are probably making it worse. No more baseball. My mother said that I still had to go to practice, but I just sat and watched. I would take my Game Boy and play the whole time. The next story is called, Back in Line. This happened a while ago but was super sweet. Where I live, we have a very busy national train network, which is very well known for its delays and failing trains. To compensate, the company that owns the trains will hire buses if there is a longer outage to facilitate people using their public transport services. As you can imagine, when there are unexpectedly no trains on a busy moment of the day and they have to call buses to transport all the passengers, this is a mess. Long queues and a lot of people trying to skip the line to make it home earlier. So here I was. Almost in front of the queue, certainly making the next bus, after being in line for almost 40 minutes. The queue was still a couple of 100 people long and there was some anger amongst people as people were pushing and skipping the line left and right. And as I had been patiently waiting, I was also getting angrier at others. At this point, every person trying to get into the front of the line is immediately yelled at by several people and in some cases pushed out of the line if they didn't listen. The next bus finally makes its way to the front of the line. The pushing from the back intensifies, the door open and to my and everyone else's horror, the bus driver gets out and says, my shift is done. My colleague should be here soon. After that, he immediately closes the door behind him. As there was now a bus waiting, the number of people skipping the line doubles. It seems as all the hundreds of people have set their eyes on this particular bus. But people in front of the line are not going to give up their spot. A young couple moves toward the front of the queue. They got told, go to the back. And they comply. A mother with 3 children moves towards the front of the queue and got told, you have to wait, just like all others. And she complies. A gentleman is walking directly to the front of the line and also gets yelled at by me and the others near the front. At first, it seems like he wants to make a defense. But then, he silently complies, as he somehow finds a spot in the queue about 50 places back. After that, there are some people cutting the line and all were resolved in the same manner. As the bus was still closed after 10 minutes, the queue got longer and there were already 2 buses waiting behind. But they also couldn't drive off or take in any passengers, as the empty bus was blocking the road. The anger was shifting from people yelling at each other towards the bus, the transport company and of course the bus driver that was not showing up. And this resulted in my neighbor yelling fairly loudly, where is this idiot of a bus driver? The gentleman that wanted to cut to the front of the line yells back, I'm here. I have been waiting 10 minutes for this line to reach the door so I can open it. So when he was cutting to the front of the line, he was actually trying to open the bus and drive us to our destination. But as he was greeted with a dozen people screaming at him for cutting the line, he complied and did just as we asked. Every single person entering the bus, I included, apologized for being so jumpy and rude. And I know for sure I will not be so quick again with yelling at people cutting the line before I am sure what their intentions are. The third story is called, Prove You Deserve a Raise. I started a new job last October through service working for a warehouse that stores and ships various products. To start, the pay wasn't terrible. But it definitely wasn't great. The only saving grace was after 3 months I would be moved to a full-time position with a $1 an hour raise. I didn't plan to stay, but the work environment was actually pretty laid back and I was putting in 15 hours a week overtime, so I was making more money than I ever have before, even with the lower hourly wage. With all of that, I decided to make this a long-term job. So for the next 3 months, I put my all into this job, and management told me constantly I was doing great. After 3 months I was due for my raise. But management told me since it was so close to yearly raises for everyone, I would get a 25-cent raise now and a bigger one after yearly reviews. I figured a month wasn't a big deal and they told me it would end up bigger than the dollar I was originally going to get, so I agreed. A month later I was called in for my review and given a very positive review, with minor deductions for cleaning up messes after projects being their only negatives. I left happy and excited to see what my raise would be. A week later, they revealed raises in another set of individual meetings. The boss starts the meeting by telling me a coworker told him I complained about working with a set of temporary workers. I did. It was 2 or 3 days before while out having a smoke break. And that I told him I thought I was too good to work with them, which I never had and never would have said. From then, he told me I wasn't cutting it as an employee and he was holding my raise for 6 months. He ended the meeting with, "You have to prove you deserve a raise." 6 months later, and I'm happy to say I was able to prove I deserve a raise, just not to him. I start my new job on Monday. The best part is the raise he was withholding from me was 76 cents, making my total 1 cent higher than I should have gotten after 3 months. The pay raise to my new job? $7 higher than my current pay. The next story is called, I Will Happily Take Notes. This happened during my final year of an IT degree. We had a professional style project. The project was run by a staff member and not our teacher. To summarize the project, it was a half-game, half-database mess. 4 previous groups of students had worked on it, and he didn't actually even accurately know what worked and what didn't work on it. It was broken in every way. The security was terrible, it performed really badly, it was very hard to update and change, and it only ran on one specific kind of computer with obsolete hardware. Part of our project was to accurately record management, like meeting minutes, planning documents, etc. It's almost expected for them to be bad, as planning documentation is notoriously boring to write. The staff member imposed his own additional rules because he felt they were best practices. He dictated the structure and I kept notes of everything we did in the project. My records were meticulous. Everything said in meetings was written down, organized and filed away for future reference in case he was going to mark harshly. This meant that every time it was revealed that he didn't know how his own project worked or had wasted our time by telling us to do the impossible, it was recorded. For example, he told us to fix bugs that didn't even exist in many cases. Because of this, our project looked bad. He more than doubled our workload by adding extra things for us to do over the project, so most things were only finished to a functional prototype level. He gave us a fail mark and it went to the teacher for reviewing it, as failing a group of 6 in their final unit of the degree doesn't look good on his teaching record. We are given extra time of a few weeks to work on the project some more, and also asked to come and talk to the teacher if there's anything to know. After I was told he was reviewing our fail mark, I went back through my hundreds of pages of notes over the project. I found every single time we were told contradicting things about the project by the staff member, with the date and even the time. And I put it on a list. I also made a separate list of each time he added a task to our project, with date and time as well. I wrote the teacher a very polite email, explaining that I felt the project had some issues outside of our control, and included the lists, just asking him to keep it in mind during marking. A month later, we were given an opportunity to demonstrate our project to the staff member and our teacher. After a short demonstration, the teacher said that he'd pass us and moved on. On the way out, I went past his office. He said 2 things, that he'd read my email and that the staff member was not going to be allowed to lead another project again. The last story is called, You Want Me to Tell the Truth? This all happened about 2 years ago. My sister, Kate, and her boyfriend, Adam, had been dating for about 6 months or so at this point. He and I don't have much in common, but he's a nice guy and we get along fine. Her ex, Brad, however, was a total idiot who would punch her and throw tantrums when he didn't get his way. My relationship with my sister is complex, and, while I won't go far into the details there, I rarely ever see her and she really only calls me when she needs something from me. That is how this story begins. I was watching a movie with my roommate when my sister called me. I was a little miffed because the movie was just getting into the good stuff, but whatever, I answered. Hey, Adam is mad at me right now because Brad messaged him on Facebook with screenshots of explicit text messages that he's trying to say are from me. And he's also claiming that he came to my house and we made out. I know that you know about my relationship with Brad and that I would never do anything with him because of the abuse, and I also know that you don't care and will tell people how it is with stuff like this. Could you just be honest with Adam and try to calm him down a bit? He's very upset right now. What Kate wasn't aware of though, was that on the day that she allegedly played with Brad, I just so happened to drive by her house, where his truck was parked outside. In plain view of the road, I had seen them. So, she handed the phone to Adam, who was clearly very upset, voice cracking, on the verge of tears. I have a decent amount of respect for this guy, considerably more than I did for Kate after realizing what she was trying to get me to do. So I told him exactly what I had seen, that I was unable to say if she had texted him, but she had definitely been unfaithful to him on that one instance. Because Kate had assured him that I would be honest because of my reputation for bluntness on these kinds of things, he had absolutely no reason to disbelieve me. He thanked me for my honesty and hung up. Kate proceeded to call me upwards of 15 times over the next half hour. I answered none of them. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day.